We've never seen technology shift as fast as we're seeing now in the age of AI, and it's only going to get faster. How on earth are you going to keep up with your online business in the age of AI? Tune into our podcast to find out.
Welcome to Agent of Commerce, the podcast exploring how AI is reshaping the future of e-commerce. Each episode features insights from the innovators driving real change in digital commerce. Agent of Commerce is brought to you by Miva. Now, here's your host, Rob Stanley.
Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new podcast, brand new episode of Agent of Commerce. We're going to be talking about strictly AI and lots of really cool things in the AI e-commerce world. So coming into the studio is also one of my hosts, my co-hosts, and we're going to, you know what, let's just bring Rick in. So what's going on, Rick? Rick had this great idea to have this really cool podcast that just features really unique people in the industry of e-commerce talking about AI. Rick, why don't you tell a little bit about what the podcast is going to be like and what people can expect? And then let's also transition into kind of what is going on in e-commerce right now when it comes to AI.
Absolutely. So here's the thing about AI, right? I've been a technologist now for 30 years. And I have seen every technological revolution. I was in college when the internet hit, and I've been through all of the pieces of the puzzle since. And I've been at Miva since it was the dot-com boom company. And I've developed a skill to tell when hype is real and also to tell when things are shifting. And so I would say we've been through three changes so far in the age of e-commerce. We had the original web platform, so dot-com boom stuff. And then there became the SaaS evolution, which really came in the late aughts. And then we got the no-code revolution, which came in the late teens. And then now we're in the age of AI. And this will be the fastest, most radical change we've ever seen. And I really wanted to start having a dedicated podcast. We don't know how often we'll do them, but where we talk to thought leaders in the world of AI, where they intersect with commerce and how it's going to change. And everything is going to change. How you run your store, how you build your store, how we shop, all of it's about to change.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And things are changing daily. So speaking of change, everybody defaults to ChatGPT. We could probably have a whole entire episode just on ChatGPT. I'd like to steer us a little away from ChatGPT. It's not that we can't use it. It's not that it's not there and people use it all the time. But besides ChatGPT, what tools are you kind of seeing right now that e-commerce sellers are using on either a daily basis? And describe what it's for.
Yeah, so I would actually take one step behind that, right? So, yeah, we could talk tools, and I'm sure we'll talk tools in and around all of the podcasts. And I'm happy to kind of talk about state of the art between the different LLMs, which I'll get to in a second. But there's one step back that we should really talk about. This is what e-commerce sellers and business owners should be thinking about. At the end of the day, AI, as in large language models. So we've had machine learning, all this stuff for a long time, right? We've had machine learning looking for proteins now for a hot minute. We've had PlayStation searching for extraterrestrials. We've had all these things going on, which behind the scenes, we're collecting these huge troves of data. And then kind of if you will, the first generation of AI, which we all called machine learning, was cranking through that data looking for patterns. Great. And a lot of breakthroughs happened then. But in 2017, Google wrote a paper. It was a short paper. It's about 10 pages, and it ushered in the age of transformers. And what are transformers? Transformers are the tool that allow AI to take words and turn them into multidimensional math and then allow us to communicate. So what does that allow for? That allows for me to communicate with its ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, any of them. It allows me to communicate in my chosen form of language. It could be slang. It could be English. It could be Spanish. It can be anything. And that thing is able to convert that into 3D math and then figure out what on earth you're talking about. And so what does this solve for? Well, this solves for a million things. This solves for how you interact with the product. This solves for how you shop. So I think there's some kind of easy examples in the world of e-commerce right now, which is like, for example, you can go to Perplexity Pro and now ChatGPT, and you can search for, you can say, hey, I'm trying to find a blue golf shirt. I'm trying to find a double XL blue golf shirt, and it can surface some results. And then in some cases, you can just choose to check out right from there. And so that's the beginning of what you would call agentic commerce. But that's just the beginning. And so you've got the shopping side where merchants need to start thinking about how do their products get listed in an e-commerce search engine? And even more so, how do you do SEO, which is the wrong term. How do you do generative AI optimization so that ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, all of them surface your product when someone's searching for or interacting with it? Another good example, a very obvious commerce example, but it's different than what our customers largely do. I'm going to plan a trip. I'm going to take a trip to Hawaii. What do I want to do for a week in Hawaii? I've personally been to Hawaii before, but let's say I'd never been. Never been to Hawaii. I'm going to be in Maui for a week. What do? I like to hike and I like to sit on the beach. And then the AI will create a whole itinerary for you. And then you could imagine a world in which you start talking to that agent, regardless of LLM behind the scenes, to help you book your travel. Travel agents will largely become obsolete, at least the human portion of this process, via agentic commerce. A version of that's going to happen with products as well. And so there's so many things to dig into there. That's just on the shopping side. And then on the administrative side, let's say right now you want to clean up images and you want to standardize your background in images. You used to have to sit there manually doing that in a tedious way for a long time. You needed to have a Photoshop license. You needed to be pretty good at Photoshop, or at least okay. And you still had to make sure they were optimized. The images weren't too big. The backgrounds were the same. Then you had to download them and then upload them. None of these things were hard, but they were tasks. And these tasks were tedious, is the right word for them. And so what would you do? Well, you would pay a graphic designer $50 an hour or something to do this for you. All of that's moving quickly behind us. And then we're very quickly get into a world where your interface to your store for your store management becomes a conversation where I tell my store, hey, what were my best-selling products last month or yesterday or today? How's my sale doing? Oh, I want to run a Memorial Day sale. Hey, is the Memorial Day sale configured? And now you'll be able to operate your store via an interactive chat versus having to click through a GUI and know how to use your store, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really good information, actually, Rick. One of the hot topics or hot words I'm hearing right now is AI agents. Why don't you explain a little bit about what AI agents are and how they're being used in the e-commerce space?
Sure. So there's many protocols behind the agents, but there's something that's starting to kind of be formed as a standard called MCP. So MCP it's a protocol. So it stands for, I think, Model Context Protocol. But MCP is a protocol. It was invented by Anthropic, the people who make Claude, which is one of the really excellent LLMs, and one I would highly encourage you to play with, depending on what you're trying to do. But Claude's a very excellent tool. Anthropic's a company that has a solid track record, solid privacy track record, et cetera. And so an MCP server is a series of tasks that the agent can accomplish. So I just saw a demo of this from our friends at PayPal. There's a Venmo MCP server. So in a Venmo MCP server, if you connect to their MCP server, I could via chat say, send Rob Stanley $50. And it would know my credentials. It would be able to figure out who I am. It would be able to validate who I am. So they have a trust and authentication mechanism. And then once they know it's me and that I'm not trying to steal money from Rob's Venmo account, I could Venmo Rob via voice chat. So that's a very simple example of an agent, right? Where the agent is able to complete tasks with your authority on its own. And so MCP is effectively an API for the age of AI agents. And then there's other things. There's something called A2A, which is Google standard. And A2A is one higher level. A2A, like in the example I just gave, you'd have to know you want to Venmo Rob some money. So, hey, Rob and I saw Rob last week when I was at a conference. I took him to dinner. He's going to Venmo me some money. That's it. Okay, great. So it's pretty easy to imagine a chatbot that knows this information, maybe in the Venmo app, that can do all this. But you go one level higher, and you need to know what other system can accomplish this thing. So for example, in my idea where I'm asking an agent to go find me a blue golf hoodie. Hey, I'm on a flight to Hawaii and I forgot to pack my golf shirt and I'm on the Wi-Fi. There's a world in which I could ask the agent, hey, can you make sure there's a blue XX golf shirt at my hotel by Thursday? And don't spend more than $50 or $100 or whatever. And I like these brands. And then the agent can go and make those decisions on your behalf. There's layers and layers of trust. There's a lot to work out, but that is 100% what's coming soon.
Yeah, it sounds like, and from what I've seen, we're kind of in the early stages. AI agents, they're just coming up to speed.
100%. Yeah,
So,
we're in the
Rick, I'd
very
love,
early ages right now.
yeah, absolutely. But then again, AI is actually in the early ages from what we're going to
Yep.
see. Let's say even 3 to 5 years from now, and that's probably it's going to be a lot different in 5 years.
It's
I'd
all,
love for
I would
you.
say right now
But
it's nearly impossible to guess what this is all going to look like in 5 years. But I will say this with confidence. This will be a bigger technological revolution than the dawn of the internet or the dawn of the mobile age. Like this will be the biggest technological shift we have witnessed to date, without a doubt.
yeah, I agree 100%. I would love for you to share at Camp Miva. You shared this really interesting AI tool that was helping with a return. Kind of set up the
Yep.
scenario for everybody and kind of explain what what happened during that process and what it's doing.
Yeah, actually, that's an excellent explanation of an agent. And so this is something that we'll be releasing for Miva customers probably in Q3, hopefully for the holidays. And we're not the only ones. This is kind of an obvious use of an agent. So it's a customer service agent. So you're an online seller, doesn't matter what platform, you're an online seller. And when people want to talk to a human, by definition, that's expensive. So it could be, hey, do you have this in stock? I saw it out of stock on your website, but do you really have them? Are they really out of stock? Or do you know when you're getting this size and color back in? Or hey, I need to know where my thing is and I can't find my tracking number. Or hey, my thing showed up and it doesn't fit. I need to return it. All of those things are very normal, run-of-the-mill, day-to-day e-commerce customer service issues. Um, and yet every one of the things I just mentioned could actually be handled by an online agent. And so what you'll see here in the very near future, both for Miva and I'm sure they're coming for the other major platforms, is a world in which there's voice, there's text, and then there's online chat on the website where again it can authenticate you. So the most obvious path would be I go to my website and I want to know, I bought a shirt. I thought the double XL would fit. It doesn't. I need to return it. It recognizes my device fingerprint. It says, hey, are you Rick? Are you talking about the shirt you ordered from the plane the other day? Yes. Let me text you a code to confirm it's you. I confirm my code. Then it says, okay, I can start a return for you. You'll get an email with your return instructions. Once we get the item back, we'll process your refund. All of that can be done by AI now, and all of that would be agentic. So that is the other side of agentic commerce, as opposed to shopping, managing your customer success or your customer service. Because if you could manage your customer service without a human in the middle, suddenly you can save a lot of time. You can probably reduce staff and definitely save costs.
Yeah, that it was super cool. I loved the
Yeah.
example you gave and the whole audio and everything. And it actually was funny because one of the things that mentioned was a different product at first that the person had ordered, and they're like, no, that's not the right product, and it knew to go to the other product that the person did order, which is going to happen, right? People are going to order multiple times or multiple products.
And we did the
Rick,
demo using a voice call where it could match your phone number. But the truth is, unless you're over 50, most people aren't going to make a voice call. This is all work via text or via the website. So so this will be this asynchronous bot-based communication will be how our customers want to interact with our sites.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick, let's help everybody understand what's the difference between some of the AI evolution going on for, let's say, desktops versus mobile, and specifically in the mobile space. How is it different?
Well, the thing you have to realize is, so like when I'm on my desk, if I'm at my actual computer, and I'm gonna go to ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other major systems, and like internally at Miva, we're always testing them. So like we try Anthropic, we try Gemini, we're seeing which one has the latest coding tool or latest graphics tool, etc. So like I find Gemini and Claude to be really good for coding, and I find ChatGPT to be great for images, just as an example. But the use case on a phone is starting to evolve already. Phones are going to be more like, I think phones are going to be more like a personal assistant. And like I don't want to go so far as to let it listen all the time, but I'm also definitely more privacy focused than your average person. And so it'll be very simple. It already is very simple to have the AI listen if you want, but you can give it a task. Hey, set a reminder for me to call the doctor. Set a reminder to go by and pick up my dry cleaning. But then you could also be like, hey, can you do some research for me on golf polos that I can pick up when I land in Hawaii? Like the phone device is going to be much more, the mobile device, if you will, is much more going to be as a personal assistant, where I think of what I do on the desktop as sort of like an intern. I have intern rewrite some text or make me some slides or make me a graphic. Those are things, and you could do all those things on your mobile phone for sure. But really, I find using them on the desktop is where I like to do kind of meatier text. Most of that has to do with the input device of being able to type on a keyboard and copy and paste a little easier. I know you can do all that stuff on a mobile phone. And some of this is probably my age, where my preferences come from. But I think that is a big difference. And I think you're seeing a world in which, Meta has their glasses. Do I personally want to trust Meta with all my data and let them see what I see? No, but there will be Google glasses that they announced at Google I/O yesterday. There will be Apple glasses eventually, which is the Apple Vision Pro is sort of a precursor to all that. We are not far from a world in which this is a full functioning computer with a device with a HUD in here that only the person wearing them can see, and in-bone earphones. We're almost like what the Terminator had. There's just real-time information being assisted to you to help you augment your world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's already come out, and it's just getting better and better, because we've seen Google early on, Google Glasses, what they could do.
Google Glass was a very early version of this kind of stuff. I predict we are within 10 years of this being as powerful as an iPhone. And and if you look at Apple's testimony in their crazy, silly case against Epic, they even testified to that a couple weeks ago. Hey, we're not 100% sure that the iPhone itself will exist in 10 years. Now, I think the iPhone probably will for a while, but 20 years, no, it'll be replaced with a device that's just kind of in you. Glasses are such an obvious one, because you're over a certain age, you're going to be wearing glasses, and a huge percentage of the population wear glasses. And if you include sunglasses, it's a bigger percent. So glasses are such the obvious, self-evident device for where you augment a human's experience, and that's coming. And so, as a store owner, if you're tying this all back to what a store owner does today, I would start by thinking through, like, hey, what are the things that I'm paying? I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but what am I paying for an entry-level or menial staff person to do? So there's physical goods, like go open a package, go return a package. Those things aren't ready for AI yet because the robotics aren't affordable. They will be. That's not far off, but okay, you're still gonna have a human doing that now. But what else am I paying for a human to do? Oh, do I want them to write product descriptions? Product descriptions should be done by AI. Do I want them to do SEO meta tag work, SEO work? All of that can be done via AI. Do I want to do image editing, batching? So much of that can already be done by AI today. Promotional videos, so many things. You want a commercial for a product that you're going to play on Instagram. You don't need to hire an ad agency anymore. That's all AI. And I would just be thinking about everything between you and delivering a product to the customer. And you should be evaluating, can AI do that today? Do I think I'll be able to do that next year? Do I think I'll be able to do that in 5 years? Because I will tell you this, in 10 years, it will be able to do effectively 100% of your business. And so what are the steps between here and there? And how can I leverage them to gain an advantage now? Because at the end of the day, you need to be on the right side of this revolution to both stay in business, but ultimately to profit and succeed.
I love the point you just brought up, because I have a great question to ask you kind of as a follow-up to what you just said. Now, we know that most AI can do, let's say, 80% to the way that you need it or to get things done. Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you, is there any areas that you feel AI should possibly not be in when it comes to e-commerce?
So I can only talk about what's available today. Today, AI, you'll see a thought piece online where someone had AI invent a product, and they made the product, and they put an online store, and they sold the product. And I used AI to make $100 out of nothing. And yeah, in theory, that's true. And there are people playing around those edges. But right now, product development. So if you're an e-commerce seller, there's a couple angles here. You either have products that are already being made by someone, and you've just got a good way to source them at the right price, and you've optimized, say, Amazon optimization or SEO, and you're kind of an exaggerated middleman who knows how to find out an edge. Well, in that case, think about where AI can help you keep that edge. The other side of e-commerce sellers is people who invent products. So like, I just got a new one of these today because I'm a Rick and Morty fan. So I got a new pop socket today, right? So here's my Pickle Rick pop socket. So pop sockets are these are one of my favorite examples. This is just such a simple little product, right? How do I use MagSafe and otherwise magnets or stickers to attach to my phone to make it easier to hold? And then they've done a bunch of collabs and marketing to stay ahead of the market so that cheap knockoffs don't knock them away. And it's great. So in that world, there's a human thinking up things that they could do to make the world better. And then there's all these steps after that to convert that idea into a product, and so I would look at every single step in that process, and I would look at how AI can help. And I would also explicitly say, if AI is doing your what I'll call original thinking, it's not very good at that yet. It will become okay at that. It'll eventually probably become pretty good at that. But I think there's still a dividing line between human and AI, and that's in, for lack of a better term, original thought. And AI is not that. And I wouldn't, man in the middle, human in the middle is the right way for us to use AI as business people today. You can have a very low cost to no cost army of interns doing work, and you can 10x your own personal output, which is what we should be focused on today.
Yeah, I think using AI as a tool is definitely going to be a mandatory thing. Look at prior to having the
it's kind of already mandatory. Like it 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, ChatGPT 3 hit, and it was like, oh wow, this is the first time I've seen natural language be so interesting. And we are only 30 months from that moment in time, and it has gone to be able to pass AP tests, to be able to pass the LSAT. So like, it is very quickly. Google's original goal was to organize the world's knowledge. And if you really take a broad view of that goal, right, it wasn't to be a search engine per se, and they built a business model. And you could have a whole podcast dissecting the history of Google. But Google's stated original goal when Larry and Sergey were grad students at Stanford was to organize the world's information. This is in many ways the natural outcome of that. And so you can just get the information you need. Think of it like GPS. Think of it like spell check. So if you actually have access to all the world's information very easily, and I'm sure it'll be gamed like everything gets gamed, but it's not the same kind of gaming that happened to Google, where web spam changed the results. We used to, if you're old enough, remember going to Google, you'd search, you'd find you're searching an astronomy question, you'd find some guy who has an astronomy blog, and he's clearly like an astronomy head, and like, you find out about Fred, the guy who discovered a star, but his information is really correct. And that was a really exciting time on the dawn of the internet. Well, what's happened in that time? Well, people figured out how to gamify all that stuff, and then they did it for ad clicks and traffic. And frankly, they kind of ruined the web. It was kind of the natural result of the business model running its course. Well, we're in the early days of that in AI, where the information is available, and then you, as the consumer of that information, can take that information and transform it into something brand new of value, and then you can use that to propel your business. And that's the stage we're in today.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved those days, by the way. I made a lot of money
really
off those days.
I met you kind of early in those days, and those are the days
you did.
Like, it's funny. I was out with one of our larger customers, Jeff from JBugs, maybe a year ago, and he said, "Do you remember when e-commerce was fun?" He was kind of lamenting some of the day-to-day struggles of being a business owner. And I kind of chuckled, and I think he hasn't even heard me say this yet. I'll have to send him this when we post it. Because at the time, he was kind of right. AI wasn't far enough along to be super exciting. It was going to be exciting, but like we were in this chasm between the last generation and the next generation. And I would say we're back to a world where all of this stuff's very exciting. If you're a nerd at heart like me, this is all very exciting times. A little bit scary, but very exciting. And I think this is a great time for people to do new and creative things none of us have thought of yet, that AI makes possible where it was not possible before.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick, why don't you tell everybody about how is Miva integrating AI into its platform? We just had a big announcement last week. Talk a little bit about that and let everybody know kind of what's going on with AI internally in Miva.
Well, so right now, internally in Miva, it's being used. I actually was just at lunch today with an old friend and answering this exact question. So the first place we integrated it is in all the text fields in Page Builder So whether you're writing a product description or category description or any of that stuff, there's a little AI button. And anytime you're writing text, you can hit the AI button and you can hit ChatGPT and you can use it that way. In fact, we did that so early that there's not even any bells and whistles about it. Most of our customers probably don't even know it's there. Then the next thing we did with AI is we took all of our docs. We have a couple thousand pages of docs, and we created a bot that only knows our docs, so it can't make up answers or hallucinate. And then we made it way easier to find answers to how to use our software this way, which is 100% the future of documentation. Then we went one step further with that, and we wrote a coding bot. So if you're trying to customize a page in your store, it'll help you write the code. And then the thing Robbie was just talking about, which is just went into beta last week, is our new product called Vexture. Vexture is a native to Miva vector-based search product that is designed to make product search seamless, native, fast, private, protected, and it's all driven by AI. So, you can imagine I have my, if you've seen any of my other webinars from Miva, I have a demo store that's been around forever called Yellow Tea, T-E-E. And if you go to yellowtea.com, you can actually play with this live. Yellow Tea has like 30 products on it. I don't actually sell anything. None of them are real. They're theoretical products that a woman might buy to give away as tea prizes for a ladies' golf tournament. And my old search, because it's not a real store, was just MySQL. So if you wanted to buy a visor, you better search for the word visor spelled correctly to get any results. Nowadays, you could go to Yellow Tea and you could say, I need to find a gift for mom, or I have ladies in Florida. And you will actually start getting relevant results. It might prioritize an umbrella hire for Florida than Palm Springs because it knows Florida's wetter. And it's that type of nuance that happens in 3D math for search that is amazing. And then coming very soon on top of this will be merchandising, where you get to prioritize which products you want to sell, including by margin. And then last but not least, you'll have analytics. Hey, I want to know what we sold yesterday. I want to know what we sold last month. I want to know everything Rob's ever bought from me, all in a conversational tone. And you can get real-time, incredibly in-depth analytics, all powered by AI. And that's just the beginning. We are going to change there will be no stone unturned in the Mivaverse about AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick, great information. I want to make sure that people have a little bit more info on kind of the new podcast, where to go. So we're going to do a little plug here. So agentofcommerce.ai. If you go there too early, it might be pointing to the podcast page, literally the podcast that we're talking about right now, or Spotify or something. But eventually we will have a actual website. It'll have
sometime next week
episodes on. Yeah. So we are just getting this going, and we want to get this out as soon as possible. But agentofcommerce.ai will be the website to go to. And Rick, great information. Is there anything we missed as far as what's coming in AI or what the future of AI is in e-commerce that you want to talk about?
Well, we probably missed so much because we'd be guessing about everything. But I would say this: if you know anyone who'd be a good guest on this podcast, if there's anyone you want me to reach out to and try to interview, I want to talk to thought leaders, but I want to talk to everything from people who are using tools in a creative way to people who are just thinking about how AI is going to change the world. So this whole podcast, I don't know if I'm going to do 6 of these a year or 2 of these a month. It's all going to depend on finding the right guests and having the right information. But this whole little corner of the podcast universe is a place for me to talk to thought leaders and practitioners about how they're leveraging AI to improve their business. And I'm really excited to share this with you.
Absolutely. Great information. So everybody go check out agentofcommerce.ai. And if you know anybody, reach out to myself or Rick. We're all over social media. It's not hard to find us. And Rick, thanks for coming on and kicking this off, and looking forward to getting the next person on and really diving deep into AI. You know, I'm a big AI person myself. So absolutely.
Thanks for being my inaugural co-host, Rob.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning into Agent of Commerce, brought to you by Miva. Explore how leading brands scale smarter at Miva.com. The future of commerce doesn't wait, and neither should you.